Welcome, everybody. I am Sean in Alaska. It's awesome to have you here today. Before we get started, let me do an audio and video check. Let me know if the audio's okay, if the video's okay, because I couldn't hear anything when I started that last video here. And there's my boss calling from work. I got to hang up on him. So let me know whether or not audio and video are okay this week. Brady G, what's happening, my friend? I saw you were one of the first people in here. Beto, welcome. Mike McKinley, good to see you, brother. Good to have you here today. Mark Davidson, glad to see you. Ginger says everything's good. Audio seems a little bit low. How about now? Any better now? I'm hatless too, so let me know if the glare gets to be too much. Jump back up here to the top. What I like to do is I like to read everybody's comments. So if I miss yours, do me a favor, leave it all in caps and ask it again. And if I've already answered it by the time I get to it, not a problem whatsoever. I'll just skip over it. I'm usually pretty good about remembering that. I saw Brady's here. Ray Martinez, welcome. Charles and Annalyn, how are you guys doing today? Genova was in here earlier. Sorry you can't hang out, but I know that, life gets busy. So thanks for popping in. I greatly appreciate that. Susan, welcome. Glad you could be here today. Art, what's happening, man? Good to see you. Man, things are a little bit slow on my end, it looks like. Awesome to see you, brother. I asked this question right here. Oh, but I almost forgot to get this started. Let me get this started right here. I'll show this first. Welcome all. Big warm up today at the cabin. Yesterday we were at 26 below zero. But snow moved back in, and we're at 13 above zero today. So yeah, first time above zero in probably a week and a half, 2 weeks. Super awesome. We're headed for a warming trend over the next week or so. Feel free to introduce yourself. It is not required, but I like to say hello to everybody that may be in here. And then back up here, where was I? There we go. We're a few months away from spring. I plan on having a garden this year. It's going to be a lot of what I'm doing this year is getting the garden set, getting everything ready. I'll have to fence it in and all that. Do you guys do vegetable gardens? Let me know down in the comments or in the comments over on the side there. And what's your favorite things to plant? I would love to hear what you guys like to grow. I've had gardens most of my life until I got up here, and it's a little bit more difficult. As we get closer to spring, I'll explain more about that, but I'm really looking forward to being able to grow some of my own produce this year. Jill, welcome. Glad you could be here today. Yep, Jim at Woolly Rhino Adventures. We did get above 0 degrees, and the next week looks awesome for us. And then I sent you some snow, and I kept some for myself. We got maybe 6 inches last night, which was crazy. Town got about 8 inches. Sunshine. Cold weather crops do great here. True. But always plant what you will eat. The best advice you'll ever get for gardening right there. Always plant what you will eat or something you like to look at. But focus on the stuff that you actually like to eat on a regular basis. Potatoes, cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli. The brassicas do really well up here in Alaska. And onions do really, really well. And Warren chimes in with taters. By all means, I love potatoes. I've grown potatoes here on the property before. They did really, really well. Richard Young, welcome. Glad you can make it today. Dimensional Horse, it is awesome to see you. Glad you can make it today as well. Joanna Bowers, welcome. Good to see you today. You put in a huge garden each year. Purple Hull peas and tomatoes are your favorite. Tomatoes are tough to grow up here. I pretty much think that, there's some Arctic varieties that I can grow, but I think I'm going to be limited to how much I can actually do with tomatoes without having a greenhouse. Gloria, it is awesome to see you. I heard it was raining like crazy. I was talking to my daughter yesterday, and she said it was coming down. And I've been seeing some of the videos from down south from your area, and it's just been horrific. But I haven't seen any water running in the streets of downtown Sonora yet. So if that happens, then we know we've got some serious cold weather or some serious rain coming down. Joseph, welcome, brother. Happy Sunday from Philly, ready with ice cream and watching. Nice. Ginger Mouse, glad you can make it today. Awesome to see you. Jill is saying, and I saw this and I wanted to comment on it and give you a warning, Jill. Doing something unusual this year in the garden. You're growing loofah. Started them about a month ago, and hopefully they'll do well for you. I've seen some videos from folks that have planted loofahs in their garden, and they said it was a nightmare because they can never get rid of them. So keep that in mind. If you're growing loofahs, keep that in mind. Angie and Beamer, welcome. Good to see you guys. Glad you could be here today. Jonathan Davis, welcome, my friend. It's good to see you today as well. Matt in AK, welcome, brother. Good to see you. Mark Davidson is saying tomatoes and more tomatoes. I love growing tomatoes. And to me, there is nothing better there's nothing more that I miss about living in California than this, right? So I always had a big garden in California. I would come home from work. I would walk upstairs. I would grab an ice cold beer out of the fridge. I'd walk back down to the garden. I'd pick myself a couple of tomatoes, some fresh green beans, some stuff right off of the plants, sit down on the deck and have a veggie snack. And that ice cold beer, and it was just fantastic. I loved it. Mike McKinley, welcome. Glad you could make it today. It still hasn't snowed in Ontario, Canada. That's crazy. That's crazy. Beto, I said hello, but hello again. I hope I fixed the audio on that. We'll see when we get down a little further. Good, good, good. Marunanda, awesome. Good to see you. I hope you're staying safe down there in Southern California. I saw you guys are getting hammered with rain right now. Ward, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Destiny Fitzgerald, welcome. Glad you can make it today. Henry Leslie, Vermont, awesome to see you today. All looks good and sounds good there. Good. Watching on a computer today so you can watch basketball at the same time. Multitasking. That's nice. That's nice. Yeah, we don't have any no football this weekend. Next weekend is the Super Bowl, so I guess you guys can make your picks on that. I'm looking for a really good movie that day because I'm not interested in either one of the teams. We have a heat wave here in Willow too. It was 17 above earlier, right? Willow's beautiful, man. Did you know, Matt, that Willow was voted the state capital of Alaska, but they never voted the money to move it? It was nuts, man. It was cold. It was bitter cold. This was one of the coldest weeks that I can recall since I've been up here. But not the end of the world though, right? Because it goes away and we get warm again. 23 and clear for Henry Leslie, Vermont. Where are we at here? 50s and rain for Dimensional Horse in Kansas. Getting our little weather reports in. Angie's warmer than me, 15 degrees. Had to turn the heat down in the house. I did too this morning when I went to work. I got up and I go, man, it's warm up here. I mean, it was hot in the bedroom because I had no blankets on me or anything. And I came downstairs this morning because I went to work today. Normally I don't work on Sundays, but we have total store inventory. Angie will understand. And I had to help count the back room. So, and that's scanning a whole bunch of products. So the boss asked if I would come in and I did. And when I came downstairs, it was 75 degrees in the loft. So I had to turn one of the heaters off. It was ridiculous. Tony, welcome. Glad you can make it. Awesome to have you here today. Brady says, if I had a garden, I'd love potatoes, peas, and tomatoes, right? Yum, yum. Holy smokes, Beto. Here today, during the day, it was 39 degrees Celsius or 102 degrees Fahrenheit. Wow. Colleen, welcome. Glad you can make it today, and thank you for that. If you do hit the thumbs up, it's great for the channel. It suggests the channel to more people, the more often the thumbs up is hit, and it's a super good way to get the channel out to other people. All right, Destiny's saying, don't feel bad about the leaking windows you fixed in the last video. Just watched a professional wood log cabin builder forget to insulate their purlins. The top ones were. We'll have to get to the rest of that. Oh, there we go. The top ones were collecting snow and ice. Also had some icicles on one small section of the roof, so don't feel bad. I don't. I knew that I was going to have. I actually thought I'd have bigger issues with the insulation than I have had so far this year. So I'm very happy with how things have worked out. Charles and Annalyn say, we're fortunate to be able to have a garden year-round. True, you're in the Philippines. We plant tomatoes, okra, sweet potatoes, peppers, and eggplants. I wish I could grow sweet potatoes up here because I love sweet potatoes, and I really wish I could grow those here. Joe Lupa, welcome. Good to see you, my friend. Glad you can make it today. Thank you. I appreciate that. I greatly appreciate it. Carol L., glad you could pop in as well today. Everybody's saying hi to everybody. Joe Montano, welcome, Joe. Good to see you. Lurking and multitasking. I like it. Tony is hailing from Ohio. Awesome to have you here, Tony. Glad to see you from Ohio. Oh, his cabin's in Alaska too? Wow, okay. Yeah, nuts. Susan says, I put in a garden every year. Tomato, squash, leeks, charred potatoes, carrots, herbs, snap peas, zucchinis, and onions. Nice. I like zucchinis too, but I think I'm going to need more heat for that. We'll see whether or not those will work up here. The nice thing is that we have a university extension that I can go online and I can see what grows in what certain areas. I played around with herbs here. Basil didn't do that well, but Thyme did pretty well for me. Rosemary, but they were just containers. They weren't. I wasn't really trying to grow them in a garden. Joseph, right? There we go. Basil, chives, and curly parsley grows crazy in your garden. Plum tomatoes are your favorite. I like Romas. Romas are my favorite tomatoes, and I don't know if that's what you mean by a plum tomato, but I love Romas. I love them in salads. I love them in sauces. Romas are just delicious. Professional builder said the video showed how important insulation chinking can be, and even a little opening can cause an extreme heat loss in cold climates. And it really did. I mean, when I closed that window up there, it was nuts. What a difference it made inside the cabin for warmth. It was low on your end. You turned it up. Very cool. My big tiny house life. Welcome. Glad you could be here today. The snow has melted where you're out in Vancouver Island, and we're green and sunny. Man, I'm jealous. I can't wait to see the sun, and I can't wait to see green again. This time of year, I'm really looking forward to the green. Yep, that's what I saw, Madhu, that it was really crazy weather that you're getting right now. I'm not watching either. Probably just play Xbox. All right. Back to the Super Bowl conversation. Groovy Moose Cabin, welcome. Glad you could be here today. Afternoon to you as well. Robert at Curmudge Inn, welcome, my friend. Glad to see you. That's okay, man. We all have things to do, right? We all have stuff that we need to get done. Snow in Idaho yesterday, now 40 and rain tomorrow. Weird weather. Great. Yeah, it's been an interesting winter. It's been kind of different this year. Everybody's saying hi to everybody again. Ward, at least you have a rototiller to use for the garden. I don't, but I don't need a rototiller because I'm thinking it's going to be all raised gardens when I'm done. So again, I bring them up pretty much every live that we talk about. I take a lot of lead when it comes to gardening from what Simple Living Alaska's done. And Ariel's got a green thumb like nobody's business. I'll be interested to see how their garden turns out this year because they didn't do one last year because they were in the move. But I really like how she built up the rows without actually boxing them in. And that's probably what I'm going to do with my garden this year. Tony says, I grow all year long. Have a great idea for you to grow inside and not take up much room. The big issue with me growing anything inside is artificial lighting. I can't really do artificial lighting. So if you've got a great idea and it doesn't entail electricity, then let me know because I don't have the electric to spare at this point. Matt says, I didn't know that about Willow. We would tell tour guests that when we drove through the town, even heard it actually mentioned a couple of times today at the carnival. Okay, very cool. Oh, are you there at the Willow Carnival? Very cool. You know, you're surprised I don't have more subscribers. I am super excited because I just passed 7,700 the other day, and that's awesome to me. I mean, it's compared to where I started, and for as long as I've been doing this, and you know, I didn't take it really seriously at first. Every single person that subscribes, I appreciate, and I love the comments. I love to be able to answer everybody's comments, and even sometimes now because I get a lot more comments per video than I ever did, I can't actually give an actual sentence just because of timing to comment back on the comment that they left. So sometimes I give a thumbs up, sometimes I give a heart, but I read every single comment I get, every single one, and it's just super exciting for me. Even the brand new house I'm staying in was leaking a bit around the windows. I think minus 36 will find its way in around any nook and cranny, and it will. And that's more on that in next week's video too. But the cold is crazy because so if you live in a hot area, once the inside of your house gets warm, it's tough to cool it down. But the heat doesn't seem to seek every gap to get in. But if you live where we are, you know, up here in Alaska, and it gets cold, and there is anywhere for that cold to come in, that cold comes in. It takes its toll, and it will work its way into every nook and cranny of your house. And it will let you know if you have an insulation issue for sure. All right, you can do sweet potatoes up here. You just have to do a container setup for it. Well, maybe I will look at doing that this year then. That would be fun. I'd like to do that because I love sweet potatoes. Jonathan, I'm just telling you what my thoughts are on it because it's a warm weather crop, and I don't really get that warm here. It, so if I did it in a greenhouse, I probably could do it without any problem at all. But I think it would be an issue to do outdoors. But now Robert at Curmudgeon is saying that we can grow them in a container. So maybe I'll play around with that and see. Alita, welcome. Delta Junction, awesome to have you here today. I haven't responded back to your other comment yet, but I will because I saw that we kind of got a conversation going back and forth, which is super cool. She's in the interior, Delta Junction, the farm belt of Alaska. Dimensional Horse wants to know if I'm going to can what I don't get eaten. Yes, the plan is I want to grow as much of my own food here as I possibly can. I don't have any aspirations or beliefs that I can do everything that I would consume, but I want to do a lot of what I would consume. So I want to put up my own. If I can get tomatoes going, I would like to do my own tomato sauces, my own pasta sauces, that kind of stuff, pizza sauce, that kind of stuff. I want to make pickles. I want to can up as much as I possibly can. Oh, an arrow garden. Yeah. So the problem with an arrow garden, again, would be the pump, right? Because if I understand an arrow garden correctly, basically I have to pump the water from a reservoir down below up to the top, and then it waters everything as it comes down. So anything that requires too much in the way of constant electricity becomes an issue for me, not minimal electricity. So like if I have to run some lights for an hour or two a day, that's not a problem. If I have to run lights for 12 hours a day, that becomes a problem. Jonathan, I could probably do something in a greenhouse, but I don't think I'll have a greenhouse built this year. Joseph, I'm actually going to play around with a temporary greenhouse. I have a plan for the garden that might alleviate some of that issue and might allow me to grow tomatoes. And I think it might work. We'll see. But you guys will find out more about that in the spring. I'm going to try and lay out the garden so that my sunniest, warmest spot of the garden, I could wrap with I have a whole roll of vapor barrier, which is that 6 mil plastic. So I can wrap that up to trap some heat in there, because from everything I've ever known about tomatoes, in order for the tomatoes to set fruit, it has to be at a certain temperature or it won't set fruit for you on most of the tomatoes that you guys would grow compared to what I could grow up here. So I think I have a plan. I think I have a way that might work to help that without having to build an actual greenhouse. So we'll see what happens with that. Junior, welcome, my friend. It is good to see you as always. It's going fantastic in Alaska. Charles and Anlin, one interesting thing in the Philippines, when you go to the market for potatoes, your potatoes are from Idaho and the white onions are also shipped from the U.S. They grew a lot of onions in Stockton, California, because my last job down in California was a bread truck driver. So I drove around and delivered bread to all the grocery stores. And I did that for 10 years. It was a great gig. I was a Teamster. It was a fantastic gig. But the depot that I picked everything up at was in Stockton, California. And I'd drive past there and see they'd be pounding those onions out of the ground at certain times of the year. They'd be, harvesting all of them, and you could just smell onion everywhere. I love that smell. It was awesome. Lipstick Lodge, good to see you. Glad you can make it today. Talking about windows, I have a kitchen window that may have a live bug in it. There's white powdery substance on the lower baseboard that continues to appear and is moving across the sill. That's crazy. That is nuts. CK, welcome. Good to see you. Glad you could be here today. Oh, you're testing out the diesel heater in the shop? Nice. I thought about getting one of those. I still might. The jury's still out on that, but I want the wood stove to be the primary source of heat when it's said and done. JD, what's happening, brother? Awesome to see you today. Glad you could pop in. Ann O'Brien, welcome. Glad to have you here today. All is fantastic here. All is fantastic. Thank you very much, Henry. I greatly appreciate that. I like the lives. I like doing the lives this time of year because I can't really get out and do a lot more. And it becomes almost impossible from about May till October because our system because I hotspot everything off of my cell phone and our system just gets way too overtaxed. The videos are a blast. I love making the videos. This week's video was a little bit different, but I thought I needed to share some of what I actually have to go through because it's not all bells and whistles, right? It's not all roses. Things go wrong all the time. things went wrong yesterday, and you'll see that on Friday. But I much more prefer to do the videos where I'm actually accomplishing something, so you guys can see it happening. But it's all part of living in Alaska, and I love sharing it, man. I love sharing it. Tony says, I use a small solar panel and one USB grow light for the nighttime with your AeroGarden separate setup. Tony, do me a favor. If you can, take a couple of pictures of it and do some description in it. And then send me an email at SeanOwensInAlaska@gmail.com. And I definitely respond to every email I get. But I would love to see your setup. I would love to see it. Alex B, welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Its own pros, you can go outside and grab ice cold beer. You have to be careful though, because if you leave it outside for too long, it's literally ice beer. I know, right, Junior? It was exciting. It was very exciting for me. I think that's going to be a huge issue. So once I get the wood stove going, it will help. The moisture content will drop drastically. Right now, I'm looking at 37% moisture humidity upstairs and 44 downstairs, which is pretty high. But I walked in with a bunch of snow on, and I was walking in and out with a bunch of snow on my feet because I was out, running the snow blower in the driveway. So I brought a bunch of moisture in too. Usually it runs right around that 37% mark. But when I have wood heat, it'll be dry heat, and it'll dry everything right out. It'll make a huge difference. Sean, you'll find little microclimates even in your raised bed with quality seeds. The so-called professionals say you can grow next zone plants and herbs. True. And up here in Alaska, they're, like I said, their agriculture extension department that they have up here for University of Alaska at Fairbanks is awesome. And it's not just dealing with it, it deals with each little zone, each little climate, microclimate in Alaska, and tells you. And we have local gardening clubs, and I belong to local gardening Facebook groups for this area so that I can get a better idea of what people do have success with. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a ton of fun. So we'll send you the link on the setup I'll be using. Okay, cool. Keep some spider plants in the loft for some greenery year round. If they can't survive, nothing will. You know what? That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all. I would love to have some extra plants growing in the house. The darkness is the only big issue, but I plan on doing something about that this summer. I will fix the lighting in here so winter's not so dark in the cabin. Robert, welcome, man. It's awesome to see you today. I greatly appreciate that. I greatly appreciate that. Forrest, welcome. Glad you could pop in today as well. Oh, Ginger, you have no idea. You have no idea how much warmer it has been for me this year. I moved to Alaska in 2013, and I have lived in a trailer every single winter until the winter of 2023. I moved in 2023. I moved into the cabin in March, but most of the brutal cold was done. The floors were still chilly, but I do not miss living in that trailer at all. I do not miss it at all. A Brit friend of ours starts her plants in the small windowsill, and they grow fine. Don't need special grow lights for windows north facing. And that was another reason why I have the two big windows right there. I'm going to set up a rack over there, and I'm going to get some seeds started so that they have all the sunlight that they need coming through those windows, because the days get longer pretty fast here, and I hope that I'm going to have enough. Matter of fact, in the next couple of weeks, I'll more than likely start seeds. Lisa K, welcome. Glad you could be here today. I need to trim a mustache up. It looks like my face is crooked. You're out of here, Henry. Thanks, man. As always, greatly appreciate whenever you pop in. Love your comments on all my videos, man. Super awesome. The tank would just be on the bottom to circulate. That's kind of what I thought the AeroGardens were all about. So the tank's on the bottom, but it still has to pump, right? I have found for the last 3 years, my seedlings are taking a lot longer to sprout, but hey, that's okay. So one of my favorite go-tos for seeds, honestly, is Am I Gardener? Because he's got a great channel, and I love supporting people who have such a passion for what they do, and he has a passion for what he does. One of the things I would like to do is I'd like to grow my own coffee plant. I would like to have a coffee tree here because I love coffee. Yvonne, welcome. Good to see you. Dirtman, watch it. Don't. Watch the F-bombs, my friend. We're a family channel. But I agree with you. But watch them. You'll figure it out, Sean. You're pretty smart. Your garden will be fine. Yeah, gardens grow in, or potatoes grow. You can just take potatoes and throw them out. So one year in California, I did it. I bought a bunch of different potatoes, and rather than putting them in the ground, I tried the method of a bale of hay. Right. So I laid the potatoes. I made some troughs on the ground with a one of those triangular hose, and made some troughs on the ground. Cut the potatoes, laid them in the troughs, and just covered it with uh, straw. And about 2 weeks later, plants were shooting out, just exploding. So I put more straw on. It just kept going. They will grow in anything. Potatoes need nothing. Super awesome. Ray, you know, you told me this week that you're probably going to unsubscribe. I wish you would. Honestly, dude, your comments are off the hook. But I won't delete you. I'll just let you keep making comments, my friend. Troy Sutton, welcome. Good to have you today. Scrolling through. Lisa K says, I was laying down cardboard in the garden area today, 47 degrees in Ohio. I'll keep the weeds from coming up faster in the spring. Then you put a layer of, and I've seen a lot of gardens that do that too. And gardening to me is, I mean, I watch a lot of off-grid content, but I'll also get lost in gardening content because I just love watching people grow stuff. To me, there is nothing more cool than being able to grow your own food. The look on a kid's face when they can walk out to a garden and pick tomatoes. My kids used to go crazy for cherry tomatoes because I'd always grow, I'd grow the Romas, and then I'd grow a couple of different varieties of cherry tomatoes. And a yellow pear tomato is absolutely delicious, real low acid. But my kids would go out and steal the freaking tomatoes all the time. And I loved it. It was fantastic. I love gardening. Easy Acres Homestead. He has a cool raised bed greenhouse. I'll have to check that out. I'll definitely check that out. Robert's saying my shop has a wood stove, but to get it warm on a cold day is tough. I figure the diesel heater will get it warmer faster. It will. It'll take the edge off, and that I think that's to heat stuff up. I honestly think that's the biggest issue. If you can start to take the edge off, you'll see the temperature just ramp up like nobody's business. You stay at 20% moisture in the winter. Sarah keeps the snow melter containers covered. Okay, cool. Peas grow early in the cold spring. Potatoes and beans are easy. Cucumbers also grow fast. I love peas. I love potatoes. I love beans and cucumbers. I don't mind a few in my salad, but I'm more of a pickle guy. So I would probably grow pickling cucumbers, the short stubby ones. But peas are awesome too, because if you have nitrogen poor soil, peas will capture nitrogen and enrich your soil with nitrogen. So they're just an awesome, awesome plant. Right? Junior sends me pictures every year of his garden. He's got the green thumb beyond green thumbs. The planting fever is setting in, right? I'm excited. You can tell, right? I have only grown watermelon successfully one time in my entire life, and I grew it on a deck. So it was a raised deck at the last place I lived in California. I had a huge garden. I should probably post some pictures of the stuff that I used to grow. I grew corn that was 14 feet tall. I mean, I have a green thumb. I can grow. But it's anytime you get in a new area, it's difficult. But the watermelon I had in like a 2 foot by 2 foot square raised container that was on wheels. And I started that thing. So as the vine kept getting longer and longer, I kept stretching it out further and further over the deck. And that was it. It had so much heat. It would be 105 degrees out, and it would just cook. I mean, but it sucked the water up like nobody's business. I got a little watermelon out of it. It was delicious, but it's too much effort for me to try and grow. That is something I'd like to do, is get some of these. We have a couple of local gardening places up here that sell the cherry bushes. They're like trees, but they're more like a bush. They grow about 4 feet tall. I would love to get some because they'll do perfectly well in my zone. I'm zone 4A in some areas and 4B in other areas, but not much more above that 4B. Jillian, welcome. Good to have you here today. I hope you're staying cool down there. I know it gets a bit warm this time of year for you. Word. That might be a little wishful thinking. We'll be lucky to see the ground by April. We'll be lucky. It'll be a miracle if we see the ground by April. Thanks, Lisa. I just keep looking at my own reflection going, did I have a stroke? What's going on here? I will. I'll definitely do I'm probably going to cheat though. I'm probably just going to go buy some shelving. But when I get everything set up, there'll be a seed starting. You can guarantee there'll be a seed starting video. How much snow do I have right now? I don't know. At least 2 feet on the ground. Probably at least 2 feet, if not some areas, maybe more. Like on the sides of the cabin, it's ridiculous how much snow I have there now. I would bet there's probably 5 or 6 feet just from the shedding of the snow off the roof on both sides of the cabin. No comment. Fat man, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Shawnee, welcome. And my gardener is going to have raspberries, blueberries, and more for sale in March. I'll have to check it out. I love that channel. You want to talk about somebody who's positive? That guy is so positive. It's crazy. I have never watched one of his videos where I felt cheated when it was over because he's just such a neat guy and so much information. So much information. Give him a try. I'll bet you get some seeds out of it. I'll bet you get some growth out of them. I have some leftover ones from him too that I'm probably going to play around with, and it's probably been 2 or 3 years as well. So we'll both try it and see what happens. I agree, Junior. There's nothing more rewarding than eating your own harvest. It's just an incredible feeling. Shawnee's putting seeds in 2.5-inch pots, placing the pots in a clear plastic tote with holes in a lid, putting that outside mimics a greenhouse. Not a bad idea. I thought of doing the same kind of thing towards the end of the season to maybe extend my growing season a little bit. And I would probably do that on the deck with some greens more than anything else, because I rarely eat salad unless I grew the salad myself. And except for maybe summertime, I eat a lot of greens. But I'm a huge fan of eating salads fresh from the garden. Oh, you're in Minnesota, so it'll get you a jump start. It will, definitely. They are, right? I mean, I think when I first started watching that channel, after they just gotten up here, was when they were building the greenhouse, and when they were putting that garden in was when I first started watching them. And I was just amazed at what they could grow. Just amazed. Dale, welcome. Good to see you, my friend. Dale Bierman. Dale from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Glad you could make it today. Right? You see how it goes, Robert? Usually you don't have to do anything here but enjoy it, right? Today's been an interesting day. Angie has petunias blooming upstairs, apparently a brown thumb. See, you know what? You sell yourself short entirely too much, Angie. I bet you could grow anything. Joanna Bowers. I'm back in Texas after 25 years in Kentucky. My first garden back here failed. Different soil, weather. And you do. Every place that you go, you have to relearn with gardening, and especially if you're doing veggies. If you're doing container gardening, you could do that pretty much anywhere, for as long as the temperatures are right, because you're making your own soil. I want to do a bit of that this year too. I want to be making a lot of my own soil. But if you're going right into the ground, it's different everywhere you live. Oh, nice, Robert. You're at 18 degrees there, huh? Let me turn this heater off for upstairs because it's 75 degrees up there right now. Oh. And the outside temperature is looks like I'm still at 13 degrees here for an outside temperature. We're zone 3 and a lot further south than you. If you're zone 4, you'll be fine with your garden. That's part of the reason too that I am zone 4 is because I'm close to the water. So that kind of regulates our temperature quite a bit. So if you don't have a big body of water near you, then that could be why you're in a colder zone than I am, even though I'm further north than you are. Right. Oh, there you go. Been in the pool all morning. Nice. I'm jealous. I miss swimming. Dimensional horse, I do not have a compost pile yet. I will have one this year. But compost piles don't work up here like they work down there. Derek, welcome. Derek Marcellus from northern New York, Adirondack Mountains, minus 60 last year, 30s and 40s this year. You are in one of the coldest places in the continental United States. The Adirondacks get brutally cold, man. That is crazy. Richard, welcome. Thank you, my friend. I greatly appreciate that. Greatly appreciate it. Kristen Santiago, welcome. Glad you could pop in today. It is awesome to have you here. We got a bunch of people popping in last minute. I like this. Well, last minute. We got like 20 minutes left of this, right? Yeah, 20 minutes left of the live. Scott, welcome, brother. Good to see you. Glad you can make it today. They are. They are. I just watched I haven't watched the newest video where they're going fishing and they're doing all the outdoor stuff right now, but I just watched the video of them um, shoveling off the top of the shop that they just built, and there was a boatload of snow on top of it. And I don't know if they even needed to do that. I don't think they did. I think structurally that roof should be fine with that amount of snow on it. It sounded like at the end that they were not planning on doing that again next year. Be Charming, welcome. Glad you can make it today. Got a mess of seeds from my gardener this year. So excited to see what happens with them. All heirloom, so I can save seeds, and that's the direction I'm going to go to. Everything I'm going to grow is going to be an heirloom and something I want to get into seeds saving and all that stuff. CK wants to know if I've done any hiking around Soldotna. Quite a bit, actually. I not as much. In the last couple of years, not as much. This year I'm planning on getting out quite a bit more. But like all the lakes and stuff around here, I've driven out to and then gotten into the woods and hiked out. Done some mushroom hiking and looking for morels and that kind of stuff. Back in the back of Funny River, it backs up to National Forest or what's the name of it? But it backs up to government land, and I've been way back out there too. So quite a bit, not as much as I want, but I've done quite a bit of hiking here. Josh, welcome, my friend. You're never late as long as you show up. I greatly appreciate it. Derek Booth, glad you can make it today. Welcome, my friend. Glad to see you. Exactly. That's what Charles and Annalyn just said. You're never late, Josh. Jillian, man, 100 degrees. I don't know that I could handle that anymore. Mary Hall, welcome. Where I grew up in Minnesota, we would put our tomatoes and potatoes in after Memorial Day, and we got fall frost mid-September, and we planted the ground. We had no issues. Also, yeah, I could grow celery here. Celery would be good. Celery's a water hog crop. I don't eat that much celery, but I will use celery for stock. So celery is one of those things that, while I do like eating it, I will use it more in what I'm making than by itself. So, but I will have celery, I think, this year. Jim, welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Returned to Canada from Southern Arizona desert for a week in a 5-star hotel. You grow garlic, tomato, squash, cucumbers, beets, and chard. I love beets. Have you guys ever had golden beets? They are delicious. Oh my gosh. Golden beets are just incredible. Sean, I sent a few pics to your messenger, and a few more will be coming for ideas for the Growing Greatly. Thanks, Tony. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that'll work. If you're not following Sean in Alaska on Facebook, the link is down below. You send me a message, I will definitely get back to you. I try to answer every single message that folks send me. Sometimes it gets a bit crazy. Sandra, welcome. In Michigan, planting a little of everything. Am I gardener for the win? Right? Yep. There's all kinds of themes for postage stamp garden, salsa plot, juicing plot, stir fry plot. One of the best books that I've ever read. And most of the books that I have on this now are all on a Kindle or all in digital form because it's just easier for me to go back and not have just massive bookcases full of this stuff. But I think the guy's name his last name is Bartholomew, and it's Square Foot Gardening, and it's awesome. In a 4-foot by 4-foot square, I grew 16 Roma tomato plants. I pulled 110 pounds of tomatoes out of 16 square feet using that method of gardening. It is awesome. It is a great way to do it. So if you've got a small area to grow stuff in, get that book, Square Foot Gardening. It's a fantastic book. I love gardening and preserving for winter. I hate paying all that extra money for our grocery store charges. I agree, Deborah, and welcome. Good to see you. Yeah, it's crazy, and buying produce in Alaska is even worse. Just think, Sean, soon it'll be kilt wearing weather. I know I almost pulled it out the other day just because if it would have hit 30 below zero here at the house, I would have been wearing the kilt outside. just because I haven't worn the kilt in 30 below outside here, and I thought it would have been a good photo opportunity. uh, I know, right? That's crazy. That was absolutely crazy. And everybody told me when I did it, my mom included, because my mom was living with me at the time. She goes, "That's too small. They need more room than that." And I go, "They don't." And I had everything set up on drip irrigation, right? I had put all the drip lines in myself, so I really reduced my water consumption because in California that was a huge issue. Um, it was they never stopped coming. My mom was all, oh my god, she made so much sauce because my mom would do all that kind of stuff. She made so much spaghetti sauce, it was crazy. I did one batch. So I used to do family dinners at the house, and it wasn't just all family. It was friends would come over, and it'd be like 30 or 40 people that would show up, and I would do them once a month, and they would have a completely different menu. Every month would be something completely different. So for the month of May, I'm born in May, and my two of my three brothers are born in May. I bought prime rib strips, and then I cut steaks out of them, and then I grilled ribeye steaks for everybody for the birthday dinner. But one month for the family dinner month, I harvested a bunch of tomatoes out of my garden and I cooked sauce for like 9 hours on the stove. And then I had a pasta machine, a little hand crank pasta machine. I made my own spaghetti. I would do everything from scratch. So good. Oh my God, it was so good. Carrots, onions, tomatoes, and basil can grow in the same square foot. Yes, they can. Carrots are the one vegetable that every time I've tried to grow, I have failed miserably, and I will get carrots to work. Yeah, right. We got kilt up, man. We need to all show up together at the same spot and just all be wearing kilts. I get so many comments here when I wear the kilt. It's crazy. Junior's going to tease us with what his garden's going to be this year. He'll be planting tomatoes, peppers, beans, zucchini, cucumber, mint, thyme, strawberries this year. Strawberries would be fun for me to grow too. But I prefer eating the strawberries over canning strawberries. I don't really eat jam that often, so I won't be growing anything for jams, but man, fresh strawberries are delicious. Also, your fig trees in the ground. Nice. Ward, see you, brother. Good to see you, my friend. I'm all caught up. I love this. Right? Yeah. Robert, I'm telling you, launch sauce the best way. It is so incredible. You just let that thing simmer all day long and thicken up. And all the fresh herbs came right out of my garden. So fresh oregano, fresh basil, right into that thing. And sausage that I made myself, from grinding my own sauce. Oh, it was delicious. It was absolutely delicious. Ice cream weather, making weather's just around the corner. I love ice cream. We all know that, right? Yeah, we all know Sean loves ice cream. Jillian, it might just be too hot. I think there becomes a point too where it can be too hot for tomatoes to really set fruit. Exactly, Alina. Make sure you protect your garden from moose with at least an 8-foot fence. Alaska grown carrots are the very best. They are the sweetest carrots I've ever had in my life. I have trained killer chickens that will wander the area and attack all moose. No, not really. I think they freak out when they see them. But where the garden is going to be, I've had moose coming through there on a regular basis, so I need to make sure I get that thing fully fenced up before I get the garden going. They leave the potatoes alone. I had no issue with the moose and potatoes at all, but all the rest of the green, I think I'm going to have some serious issues with. Tony, I've never had trouble with potatoes up here at all. Since I moved to Alaska, I have never had an issue with potatoes at all. They've grown perfectly well for me every single time. I made fireweed jelly myself a couple of years ago. It's good, but it's basically just floral sugar jam, right? But it's pretty. It is so pretty. I have a video of me making fireweed jelly in that trailer. As a matter of fact, I did everything in the trailer, which was rather tough getting that big old pot on top of there. And then I had an issue where it wouldn't set, so I had to recook it all, add more sugar, and go back in with pectin and rejar it all up again. But it worked out cool, man. It worked out good. Lindsay, welcome, my friend. How are you doing? It is awesome to see you today. Tad chilly up in your neck of the woods? I think so. Living free Alaska. Hello and welcome from Houston, Alaska. Hope you're managing this weather well. I am. we got the break. I think we had colder weather than most of the people for a while down here on the peninsula. And then a couple of days ago, I saw everybody going, "Oh, it's here." But yeah, now that we're in a warming trend, I'm pretty excited about that. I'm pretty happy about that. But it's awesome to have you here. Craig Porter, glad you could make it. Good to see you. Really enjoyed the Sunday afternoon lives. Makes the winter afternoons go by faster. I agree. 100%, man. I agree. Christine Bursey, welcome. Just joining. Expecting a winter storm here in Newfoundland tonight and tomorrow. Your storms get pretty brutal, right? I mean, we're talking wind and rain like nobody's business in that area. Lisa Kay says that she gets carrots to grow by choosing the shorter varieties. Then it works out well. I think for me, the biggest issue I've had is my soil's always been wrong. So I start the carrots, and the soil that I'm trying to grow the carrots in is not pliable enough for the carrots to grow, because I get great tops and I get terrible growth on the carrots going down. So corn is something that I laugh and joke about all the time, because when I grew the last time that I grew corn, my next door neighbor said, "You can't grow corn here, it won't grow." So I said, "Oh, really?" And went and bought corn and grew it. Corn is way more expensive to grow than it is just to buy and eat, but it's so fun to grow because it gets so huge, and there's nothing like peeling off a cob of corn right off the stalk and having a hot pot of water going on my deck, and I'd grab that corn, shuck it, throw it in the water, let it steam for 5 minutes or so, and then pull that thing out just once it got hot. Oh, it's delicious. Oh my God, it's so good. You guys, if you want to check out more Alaska content, check out Robert's channel here, Curmudgeon, and he's just shared the link for Living Free Alaska. Check them out as well. By all means, if you're into Alaska stuff, we got a lot of great Alaska channels that hang out. Joseph 35 outside, Cozy 70 in the house, and 3 scoops of ice cream as you shivering. Potatoes are part of the nightshade family. They are, and moose know what not to eat and don't eat. Right? I don't eat the green potatoes, ever. Dimensional Horse, thanks as always for popping in. I greatly appreciate it when you show up. Awesome to have you here. Tony says, I moved from New Jersey, had great luck with them there. Okay, very cool. Suzanne, awesome to see you. Great to have you here. Everyone, I'm having an amazing day. Always are. Lindsay, about minus 16 Fahrenheit today. It's warmed up. That is warm for you there. That is warm for you there. And that is the link to Robert's channel at Curmudgeon. Tony, thanks for popping in, man. Greatly appreciate having you here today. We got over 8 inches today. We needed it. Plus, it was a 40-degree warmer day today. So we got, like I said earlier, I think we got like 6 inches when I ran the snowblower out there today. It seemed like we got more after I left to go to work this morning, because I pulled out of the driveway at about 3:15 this morning. And Soldotna actually got more than I got here. So it was, by the time I got to town, or by the time I left, there was probably about 8 inches in Soldotna. So it was a nice little storm, a nice little quick through and dumped and done, and I'll be happy with the temperature being warmer. Dogs steal them. They eat the raspberries and plums. We just plant a whole lot of trees for fruit, pears, peaches, grapevines. I would like to plant grapes here. I would like to plant wine grapes here, because for most of my life, I've always been intrigued with learning how to do different stuff. And I taught myself how to brew beer, and I taught myself how to make wine. And I would like to grow wine grapes and make my own wine. I think that would be awesome. Maybe even build a small still and do my own brandy. That would be kind of nice too. Jim, I have difficulty growing rutabagas. I like rutabagas. They're like turnips. Yes, they are. And cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, etc. White moths eat the leaves. We don't have much of a pest problem up here. Now, I'm sure that if you grow in the same area, that you'll create your own pest problem, but I haven't really had much of an issue with pests at all. Connie, welcome. Yes, awesome. Everything's incredible in Alaska today. I saw that, Robert. There is a version of corn that we can get up here. I think UAF is the one that actually created it. It's either UAF or it came out of Canada, but the ears are so small, right? I don't know. I want my ear of corn to be about almost probably 9 inches or longer. I just It is 25 degrees Fahrenheit near Algonquin Park. Highs all week in the 30s. I'm jealous about that. We have 30s coming our way soon. Well, about a week and a half. The the 10-day forecast shows us hitting those higher temperatures towards the end of the 10-day forecast, but we're looking at 20 degrees plus every day for the next week, which I'm excited about. I don't know what the trick is to sunflowers. I think for me, the trick to sunflowers is going to be starting them inside, because I tried to start them in the soil and they didn't really start to shoot up until we got to the point where they were done, right? Where everything was going to freeze. I don't know what the trick is. Junior, what do you mean a little butter? Dude, with a lot of butter, a lot of real butter and fresh cracked black pepper over the top of that. Oh, yum, 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 yum. It always goes back to food, folks. At one point or another, we always get back to food. Thank you for the shout out. Transitioning to a new channel from our business channel. So appreciate it. Starting over is never easy to do. It isn't, man. But you got the basics figured out, right? So that'll be awesome. That will be fantastic. EG wife, welcome. Good to see you today. Glad you could make it. Hello, hello. I want to grow sunflowers for the birds. They are expensive now. I don't know. I paid like $20 for a 30 or 25 pound big bag of black oil sunflower seeds for the chickens, because I like to give them those in the winter to help them out. And so to me, that price is much easier than actually growing the sunflowers myself. Sean, I brought it up to Curmudge the other day. Next moose season, you and him can use my land near Toke. That would be fun. That would be fun. I would not be opposed to that at all. Good night, Ann. Awesome to have you here today. Take care. I will definitely, I'll definitely contact you, Lindsay, if it looks like I'm going to go for a hunt next year, because I have the license already. And I have the rifle. I might as well go out and do some. I just don't want. I'm not one of these guys that hunts to go hunting. I'm one of these guys that will hunt for the meat. And one of those animals is way more meat than I could ever use. But if I'm going with somebody else and we get one between us, and we're splitting the meat, then in that respect, it's worth it. Fatman says, Sean, Alaska, don't forget that ear of corn has to be a bit crooked to match your face. Hey. John, welcome. Glad you could make it today. Watermelon, Saskatchewan, cream short season from Siberia. We want sunflowers, but the prior owner warned us that the bears in the area always raided hers, and the moose will eat them too. The moose will, and my chickens decimated most of the ones that came up to begin with. Oh, that Pennsylvania groundhog didn't see a shadow, so early spring, fingers crossed. Well, Puxatawny Phil, the rodent. Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough when you build. I mean, so I notice it too. For whatever reason, right? I do a video a week, and the 2 weeks, not this video that just came out Friday, but the 2 videos that came out the 2 weeks prior to that, just didn't jive with my audience that well at all. They still did more than I would ever expect, but this one just blew up. The one on Friday, I have like over 6,000 views on it. It's amazing to me. And the other thing is that I have the one video that is basically a synopsis of my first day on the land, all the way to getting, partially into the cabin. And it's about an hour long. And I don't know what happened, but over like the last couple of weeks, I've had like 20,000 views on that. And I don't know if I could ever figure out YouTube and I could quit my day job, right? But it's still just fun to do. And the people that I meet that show up on lives like this are just phenomenal to me. I love it. It's great. Because I started it, Junior. Everybody's picking on Sean's face tonight because he started it. What's the recipe for my soda bread, Jonathan? There's a video on that with the full recipe. I couldn't give it to you off the top of my head because I have it written down, but I don't know where the box is with my recipe, with my recipes in it. But there is a video for Irish soda bread. Maybe I'll post a link on the community tab so that Anybody who wants to try their hand at it can go back and make it. But the full recipe is right there with that video. Not a big deal, Leslie. We got a minute and a half left. We're good to go. I have 50 thumbs up. Very cool. I do this live, not on the YouTube platform. I do it on, see that little powered by StreamYard? So I set it up on StreamYard and then it streams via YouTube, but I can't see the thumbs up on the side. I don't know how to look for that. So that's awesome, man. I greatly appreciate the thumbs up. Very cool. Matt, I'm not kidding you, man. It is so awesome. And especially in Alaska, because it's such a small community that it's really easy to meet the folks. I bet you I've met 20 of my viewers that have been up here on vacation and just wanted to hang out and have lunch or come by and see the place. And it is super, super cool. Yeah, exactly, Robert, right? If you can figure it out, I don't know what the science is. Mr. Beast knows what to do. Yeah, just keep at it, man. That's the only advice I could ever give anybody that wants to do this is do it. And don't worry about how bad everything is in the beginning, because man, you go back and watch some of my videos from the beginning, and they're terrible. I mean, I held my phone like this. I had no idea what I was doing. But just be consistent, and you'll find your niche, right? And you'll find cool people that'll want to watch what you're doing. I don't know why, but they do, and it's super awesome. Oh, where are we at here? I agree. Alaska has some of the most incredible people I've ever met. Some of the friendliest, nicest, go out of their way to help you folks that I've ever met. I think that they actually do one. The problem is that when they do it is like July or August. And I'm on the Kenai Peninsula, so you can imagine I can't really get off of work in July when the Reds are in. And then August is kind of when I'm winding down a bit and trying to get a break from doing anything. MRJ, welcome. Glad you can make it today. I like your progress. Would love to see the wood stove hooked up and working. So would I. Trust me. So would I. The nice thing is I didn't really have much firewood cut and ready to go this year. And I have a bunch of trees I have to clear next year. So I'll be set for wood next year. With that said, folks, we are about to the end. I see Howie down here at Food Forest Permaculture. It is awesome to see you, my friend. Cool weather crop planting time is early this year. We have cherry blossoms. My goodness, that is awesome. All right, I am going to head out, guys. Thank you for joining me. As always, I'm Sean in Alaska. I greatly appreciate when you watch the videos. I appreciate it even more when you take time out of your day to hang out with me on the lives on Sunday. I hope you have a fantastic week. And as always, thank you. I am out of here. See you guys.